All right, hello everybody. Mr. Rogas here. Unfortunately, I can't be with you today. I'm off doing some learning of my own. However, I am leaving you this fun little video here so you can follow me. So to start off the class, let's start with a little bit of review. It's been a couple days. If you've forgotten some of the stuff that we learned on Tuesday, then we can catch up right now. So first things first, let's talk about orthographics. And if we know anything about orthographics, if we can sum things down into one phrase, it would be this: 2D representations of 3D objects. So what does that mean? Well, if we just take a look at an object, obviously when we draw stuff, things can't be 3D if it's drawn on a flat piece of paper. That's just how it works. What that also means though, is that we're not really showing any depth of anything. Everything is a flat image. So let's take this brush for example. This, we have the top right here. If you'll remember with orthographics, we draw the top, the front, and the side. With the top, it's strictly going to be a rectangle. We're not going to draw the fun little grooves in here. It's going to be a rectangle. So, a couple things. We're going to draw the top, the front, and the side. And let's actually take this through for an example. So if you'll remember, this is how we set up the page. We divide it into quadrants. Like so. And you'll recall, the top goes on top, the front below it, and the side over here. Okay, so we're drawing this brush right here. Take a look at the top, like so. It's a rectangle. Now the front. How do we know which side the front is? Is it going to be this, or is it going to be this? Well, I can tell you it's going to be this, because remember, we want all the lines to match up. So we have the width of the brush right here. If we trace that down, this should match up with this, and so that means the front has to be this. Can't be this because that won't match up. It's too skinny. Okay. So again, everything has to be matching up. So the height has to match up between these two right here. Probably a little bit too big. You're going to use a ruler when you do this. I'm doing this for the purposes of time. Not here before anymore. Okay, so we have the top, we have the front, we have the side. That's a good representation of what this brush is. So that leaves one last thing, and that's the ISO. And ISO, in this case, ISO is actually short for isometric. And isometric just offers another view. So with the orthographics, it's all been 2D representation, so it's all been rectangles and all that sort of stuff, very flat. With the isometric, what we're hoping to do is we're actually hoping to introduce a bit of a 3D view to what we're drawing. So before, the views have been top, front, side. With the isometric, what's going to happen is we're actually going to include all three of those views. So we're going to have the top, the front, and the side all in one view. And the way that we're going to do that is we're just going to rotate just a little bit and then tilt it up. So it's going to look something like this. This is the view that we have. So ISO is going to be 3D in appearance. is going to be turned. So we can see front and side, and it's going to be tilted 30 degrees. So what's that going to look like? Well, let me walk you through it. So when you're drawing an isometric drawing, there's a couple different steps that you can go through. Let me show you some of the ones that I like to do. So the first thing I like to do is I like to find out where the center of the square is, and then I draw a dashed line down the middle. And this is going to be our center line that we're going to work with. After that, I draw a perpendicular line to that center line. So it's going to look something like this. And then from there, I measure out roughly 30 degrees on either side. So 30 degrees coming off this line here, and 30 degrees coming off this line here. So it's going to look something like this. So that's 30 degrees, that's 30 degrees. And then essentially what you have going on here now is what we're going to work with. So with the brush, like I said, the isometric view takes that front, turns it a little bit, and then it flips it up like so. So this center seam right here is actually what we're going to put along this line here. So we're going to connect these lines here. We're going to trace this one out as well too. We can see a bit of the front there too. Not as long. Then we're going to draw straight up. Straight up. And just connect those lines. And there we are. We've now drawn isometrically the brush right there. So let's identify some of these spots. We have the top right here. The top goes at the top. The front is going to be on our left-hand side here. And their side is going to be on the right-hand side here. So there it is. That's an isometric drawing. Now what I'd like you to do right now is to pause the video. I want you to head to the front of the classroom, grab a marker, and within your group, I want you to go back to the table and I want you to draw all four views here, the top, the front, the side, and the isometric of the marker that you have. So it should be kind of a rectangular prism. I want you to go ahead, pause the video right now, and do that. Okay, good stuff. Here, let's run through just exactly what that's going to look like. So it's going to look something like this. So if we take a look at the marker, if I had to take a gander as to what the top of that marker is going to look like, we'd go with the top of the cap. That seems like a logical place. So the ones that you guys have down there, it's kind of square like so. And so that's a good logical top. Again, the front, we want to draw our imaginary lines here. The cap we've already established, it's going to be at the top. Again, ignore how awful this looks. Then it goes down like so. And the side, actually the side is going to look pretty much the exact same. Okay, so I imagine that probably the place where you're going to have the most amount of difficulties is when we actually draw the isometric. So remember a few simple rules here. First, we want to draw our center line like so. It's going to be a nice dashed line there. We're going to draw a perpendicular line like so. We're going to measure 30 degrees off like so. 30 degrees like so. And then we go from there. So the marker goes up like so, with the cap up here. Draw that 30 out, 30 out. Draw that in. And then we'll draw the body like so. Ooh, that's rough. Okay. So, remember, top, going to be at the top. Front, going to be at the front. And finally, the side is going to be on the side. So the front is going to be on the left side. The side is going to be on the right side. Okay, hopefully you did well with that. What's going to go around now is there's going to be 3 pages total. So one of those pages is going to be an exercise where you have to match up the isometric drawing with the orthographic drawings underneath. So you have to take a look at the orthographic drawings and see if you can match them up with the isometric drawings at the top. It's one of those things where it might take some people a little bit longer than others. That's completely fine. It's kind of how your brain is a little bit wired. It is something that can be developed. It's something that I think would be really good practice. The second page, there's going to be 2 drawings, complete drawings. There's going to be isometric drawings and then orthographic drawings underneath. There is letters on the isometric drawing. What you're going to do is you're going to match those letters to the actual sides in the drawings. So those are the 2 things. Finally, there's going to be a bit of a template page. That's going to be the 3rd page. You'll see that there is both grid, so your typical graphing paper, that kind of stuff, and then your isometric is going to be kind of diamonds. It's going to be a little faded. That's fine, don't worry, you'll be okay. What I want you to do is I want you to take the isometric drawing A from your first worksheet, A, and what you're going to do is you are going to transpose that onto that paper. So the 3 gridded are going to be your top, your front, and your side, and then your isometric is going to go on that fun little diamond paper. All right, hopefully you guys are going to have a good time. If you have any questions, don't worry, I will be back very, very soon. I'll be able to answer all your questions and get you all caught up. However, I hope that this was fairly helpful to you, and we will see you guys again tomorrow for your next design challenge rollout. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it, and we will definitely be using all this stuff in the coming days. So enjoy. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks, guys.